This is a Red FM Vancouver podcast. Make sure you hit subscribe for more great content. For further info, log on to redfm.ca.
ਅੱਜ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਆਫ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਚੁਣੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਐਰਨ ਓਟੂਲ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਉਹ ਅੱਜ ਆਟਵਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨੇ ਔਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਇਹ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਦੀ ਰੇਸ ਹੋਈ ਆ ਉਦੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਚਰਚਾ ਹੋਈ ਕਿ ਐਰਨ ਓਟੂਲ ਕਿਸ ਕਿਸਮ ਦੇ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਹਨ। ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਇਸ ਗੱਲ ਤੋਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਉਤਸੁਕ ਸਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਈਨਲੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਪਰੋਚ ਕੀਤਾ ਅਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਡੀ ਇਹ ਰਿਕੁਐਸਟ ਨੂੰ ਮੰਨਦਿਆਂ ਹੋਇਆਂ ਅੱਜ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਹੈ। Mr. Erin O'Toole, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
I appreciate the opportunity, Harjinder.
And also congratulations for your victory.
Well, we're very proud of the team we built from coast to coast, and now we're getting ready for the next race whenever the election comes.
So what direction would you like to take the Conservative Party?
Well, I've said in my speech right from my victory right through to this week with my caucus, I want to grow the Conservative Party. I want more Canadians to see themselves reflected in our party, more small business owners, more new Canadians, more women. We want to show that we're going to stand up for all Canadians, members of the LGBTQ community. We need to grow our big blue tent and get our country back on track, particularly helping small business, getting people back to work, and restoring our reputation on the world stage.
We're continuously hearing that there can be an early election or snap election. Are you in favor of this? And if the election is called, are you all ready?
Well, there's two things there. No, I'm not in favor of it because it would be Mr. Trudeau's way of avoiding responsibility for his third ethical scandal with the We charity. He would be avoiding putting forward a plan for the million Canadians out of work and coming off the CERB that have no options at the moment. So we don't support an election just for the sake of giving Mr. Trudeau a way out of his crisis. But if they do force it, we are ready. Our party is very well organized. We have great MPs from BC all the way to Atlantic Canada, and we are in a position to run a great national campaign, but that's not our priority.
Mm-hmm. Well, your battle cry, take back Canada, sounds like make America great again. A lot of Canadians are saying that. Can you assure us that it's not the similar case?
Well, it's funny. The BC NDP have used the same slogan, take back British Columbia, they used a few years ago. Whenever you think your opponent has taken the country down the wrong path and you need to get it back on track, get the country back on the rails, that's what my French version of the slogan means. It is true. After 4 years of Mr. Trudeau, we have a Western separatist movement, so we're more divided than we've ever been. We are less prosperous. Over $150 billion of capital has left Canada, and we're less respected on the world stage. We all remember the Prime Minister's disastrous trip to India, his upsetting Australia, Japan at the trade meetings in Vietnam. He's known for selfies and not being serious on the world stage. So we need to get the country back on track. Canada can and must do better.
One Ontario Conservative MP, Michael Barrett, said O'Toole is presenting a bit of a different tone in vision. So are there some people unhappy with your leadership? I mean, are you able to unite all of them?
Oh, yes. In fact, the different tone and different vision means I'm a generation of politicians that I didn't get into politics because I'm a celebrity like Justin Trudeau, or that I've been in politics my whole life. I was in the military, in the Air Force for 12 years. I worked in the private sector for a decade at high levels on Bay Street, but also for one of the largest companies in the world, Procter & Gamble and Gillette. I've got real-world experience, and I was in the last Conservative cabinet. It's coming out of a crisis that have been the biggest crisis in Canada's recent history. We need someone that's an action-oriented Prime Minister, not one so obsessed on photographs and hashtags like Mr. Trudeau.
In the event you become the next Prime Minister, what kind of relationship you will develop with India?
Well, that's a critical relationship for Canada's future. India is the world's largest democracy. During the Conservative government, we almost doubled trade between Canada and India. We're both Commonwealth members. We participate in a lot of security and other international forums. We should be doing more together, particularly with global concerns about China and the Communist Party in Beijing. We've even seen some little skirmishes between China and India. So we have to get back to building a great relationship based on trust, based on respect, based on trade. We've seen that relationship fall apart under Mr. Trudeau. And I'm going to make sure we build it back up. And it's an important relationship for our future.
Mr. O'Toole, now Parliament will reopen on September 23rd with a speech from the throne. What can people expect from you?
Well, we're going to do two things. We're going to do our parliamentary job, which means we're going to hold the government to account. We're going to question. We're going to hold them to account for the ethical scandals and their lack of vision. But the second thing we're going to do, and this is where people are going to see a new style in the Conservative leader, I'm not going to just criticize. I'm going to put out vision based on where I think we need to go as a country. Our Conservative caucus met this week. We're very worried about the attacks the Liberals have had on small business owners in the last few years, particularly a lot of new Canadians who start businesses, and within a few years, they're employing 10, 20 other Canadians. It's an amazing story. Well, Trudeau called them tax cheats a few years ago, and many of those family-owned businesses have not qualified for all of the business loans and rent assistance. So they're very struggling, so we're going to put forward a vision to help get small businesses back on their feet, help Canadians get to work. We're going to be a practical, focused team to show that the Conservatives are a government in waiting.
So now with this prorogue in the Parliament, I think the V Charity scandal is kind of cooled off. Are you going to reinstate that committee or all those investigations and the way Mr. Polliver was kind of conducting the investigations? That all those things going to continue?
Well, absolutely they will, Harjinder, because Mr. Trudeau used prorogation to avoid difficult questions about the corruption within his own government in the middle of a pandemic. Think about millions of Canadian families worried, struggling in the pandemic, and the Liberals were creating programs and changing them to meet the benefits of their friends in a charity that had also paid Justin Trudeau's family. It's terrible to think this happened during a pandemic.
But Mr. O'Toole, the amount of money Trudeau has distributed in Canada, it has dazzled thousands of Canadians. How would you kind of make them see through this?
Well, look, in a pandemic, we needed to spend money. We needed to keep businesses operating. We needed to help Canadians that were going to potentially lose their job, their home, and we've done that. Now, they didn't do it in the smartest way possible. They didn't get the wage subsidy done correctly, and that's leading to higher unemployment. There's a lot of things they could have done better. The big thing is where we're going in the future. Canada cannot afford another 5 years of $100 billion deficits. It will not only eliminate healthcare, because the Trudeau government will start cutting transfers to provinces, it puts important social programs like old age security at risk. Mr. Trudeau is being very reckless, and that's why we need to focus on growing the economy, getting people back to work so that we can reduce some of this spending over time in a way that's fair. But he's really putting the future of our children and grandchildren at risk just to save his political skin. So if that's the focus of the throne speech, trying to buy Canadians with their own tax dollar, you're going to see the Conservatives hold them strongly to account.
Anything in closing you'd like to say?
Well, I look forward to getting out on the ground and visiting and seeing people. Our Conservative Party is professional, we're ethical, we're compassionate, and we want to win the support of more Canadians. So I'm telling everyone, take another look at the Conservative Party, because we really need a change to get Canada moving in the right direction.
And Mr. Erin O'Toole, thank you very much for your time, and we'll be speaking to you again.
Thank you very much, Harjinder.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another Red FM podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe and check out our Red FM Canada YouTube channel. For further info, log on to our Red FM social media platforms or visit redfm.ca.